You're right, they are always fun. This one in particular, there was something about it, I think because we all got to be in costumes, which I don't think we've done before, that made it feel like an extra fun experience, I think, for everybody. It was always fun, like coming into the hair and makeup trailer and seeing what stages people were at of their costumes. And there's just something about dressing up, not just on a TV show in life. It's fun. So yeah, it was really, that aspect was great. Getting boils on my face so often was not so fun. Um, and then also, I think one of the challenges of the episode was trying to then include such a serious emergency. And I'm there with boils on my face, which can kind of, we didn't want to take away from the seriousness of what was going on. So it was about finding ways to tuck me away and not let me my ridiculous face take away from the moment. Absolutely. By costume, you mean the cowboy one?
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, we did fittings, and I mean, my costume was, I guess, somewhat linked to the character of Billy Boyles, even though it's not intentionally, but to make that link. So, we tried on various things, and there was like a sexier cowboy version, and in the end, we kind of went with the more Woody from Toy Story version, bearing in mind that it was a firehouse haunt fest for kids. And the mustache, I think, was perfect to top it off. Very on brand for this season of 911. He has. This feels a little bit like early Buck, which I like. I like that there's still that overzealous, he still overreacts and he still falls victim to hyperbole and goes to the extreme with everything. So I don't know if this is a great example of his growth, but to me that's fun, and that's a something that's quite true to life. We never completely lose traits of ourselves. We just learn to mitigate and quiet them. Yeah, very true. And to, I mean, I guess in classic Buck style, turn up for a not just a stranger in this scenario, but a corpse from 100 years ago. But never to want anyone to feel alone and excluded, and that's I think a very Buck moment, even though it's in a slightly different circumstance than usual. Yeah, it's funny that you say that they've got past Buck spiraling, because there's definitely more spiraling to come, um, which I'm looking forward to. I like when Buck gets too in his own head and goes to people around him to ask questions and advice. So next week, or I think it's the week after that we air, there's definitely more of that to come. I think Buck is gonna learn more about Tommy's past, and that is going to send him, as I say, into somewhat of a spiral. And yeah, he'll have to lean on those around him and get some really, I think, quite profound advice. Um, just that I think it's a scene that plays obviously in the plot and the story of 911, but I think it has quite profound meaning beyond 911 as well. And I really hope that it lands and hits home, because I just think it's a really meaningful scene beyond the scope of just Buck and Maddie, and Josh, who's in that scene, I think I said. And so, yeah, it's a really, I think, important scene, and I look forward to seeing it. So there's that the Maddie stuff I'm talking about in six, and I also have a really lovely scene with Pete, with Bobby in episode six. kind of going to him for some advice. And, that's always secretly going to be my favorite relationship on the show. Like going back to season one, so much of who Buck is as a character was informed by the relationship with Bobby. So whenever we really get to have scenes just the two of us where it's kind of mentor mentee or almost father and son, I love those scenes. It's all tied into this kind of spiraling that I think Buck is going to go through in the next episode, and as he often does, and as we all should, leans on those around him and those that uh have a little bit more experience than him. I think that kind of moves along a little bit in episode six. Eddie has some really beautiful story in episode six, and I think there's a really nice scene between the two of us, myself and Ryan, at the end of six that speaks volumes to what the relationship between them is, and how even when they don't have to say too much to each other, they know how to be there for each other.